There are mafias, and then there is the Mafia. One name that sends shivers down the spine of people even today is that of the Italian-American Mafia boss, Michael Francis. He was called the Mad Hatter by the FBI, and was said to be one of the most ruthless mobsters who ever lived. Today we will tell you the story of this man and find out what made him so powerful. Welcome to my channel. It's time to meet the Mad Hatter. Michael Francis had a face that was well known in his times. The media used to cover every single move of his, just like they would for a celebrity. His picture could be seen on billboards, magazines, newspapers, TV screens, and pretty much any other medium that was available at that time. But while he may have looked like an average Joe to some, for others, he was a devil incarnate. He ruled New York with an iron fist, earning both respect and fear from his peers and rivals. He was born in 1904 and died in 1986. During his lifetime, witnessed many ups and downs in the life of a mobster. At one point, he was ruling the most powerful crime family in the whole of America, the Bonanno crime family. Later, however, the Gambino crime family took over. After his death, Frank became a thing of legend. And today many believe that he is still the Don of the Bond family, even though he has been dead for more than 3 decades now. So what did he do to gain so much power and influence? Let's find out. It all started when Frank joined the Mafia at the age of 18. At that time, Lucky Luciano was the most powerful man in the Mafia world. He ruled with an iron fist and was never afraid to get his hands dirty. In fact, he was considered so dangerous that even the police were afraid of him. But that didn't stop young Michael from approaching him and asking for a position in his gang. Luciano was impressed by the teenager's audacity and decided to take him under his wing. He taught Michael the tricks of the trade and showed him how to make money in the most dangerous business in the world. Under the guidance of his new mentor, Michael went from being a small-time crook to one of the most feared mobsters in the country. When Luciano was sentenced to 50 years in prison, it was Michael who took his place at the top of the food chain. He ran the family with an iron fist and made sure that everyone knew who was really in charge. But his reign was not without its challenges. There were rival gangs, and the police were always breathing down their necks. But Michael was up for the task. He was a skilled fighter and strategist, and he was not afraid to use violence to achieve his goals. His power grew so much that soon he was controlling a large chunk of New York City. He had a lot of men working for him, and all of them were loyal to him because he paid them well and treated them fairly. He also had a lot of connections in high places. He was friends with politicians and police officers who looked the other way when he committed crimes. He was also involved in a lot of illegal activities, including gambling, loan sharking, and drug trafficking. But he was careful to keep his fingerprints off of these activities. He always made sure that there was a fall guy who could take the blame if the cops closed in. Even his rivals respected him because he was a man who kept his word. If he made a deal with you, then you could be sure that he would stick to it. If you crossed him, then you would pay the price. He was also a generous man who was never shy about sharing his wealth. He gave money to charities and helped out people in need. He was also known for his lavish parties, which were attended by the rich and famous. But behind the scenes, he was a ruthless killer who was not afraid to get his hands dirty. He ordered the deaths of many people who crossed him, and he was always on the lookout for his next victim. He was the ultimate mobster, and he ruled with an iron fist. He was feared by his enemies and respected by his peers. So what made him so powerful? There are many things that made Michael Francis so powerful. First and foremost, he was a skilled mobster who knew the ins and outs of the criminal underworld. He knew how to make money, and he knew how to protect his turf. He was also a brilliant strategist who knew how to outmaneuver his opponents. Another thing that made him so powerful was his ruthlessness. He was not afraid to get his hands dirty, and he was willing to do whatever it took to protect his interests. He was a feared mobster, and that fear alone kept many of his rivals in check. Furthermore, Michael was a charismatic leader who was able to inspire loyalty in those around him. He was able to build a strong network of allies who were willing to fight to the death to protect him. Finally, Michael was a patient man who was willing to wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. He was not impulsive, and he always thought things through before making a move. This patience paid off many times as he was able to take out his enemies without risking himself. In conclusion, Michael Francis was a truly powerful mobster who ruled New York with an iron fist. His skills, ruthlessness, charisma, and patience made him a force to be reckoned with. He was feared by his enemies, and respected by his peers. Even today, he is considered one of the greatest mobsters of all time. Now that you know how he got his power, let's talk about how he lost it. As we mentioned earlier, Michael Francis was a very successful mobster. He made a lot of money through his illegal activities, and he lived a very luxurious lifestyle. However, his success did not last forever. Eventually, the heat from the police and the FBI became too much for him to handle, and he was forced to go into hiding. He spent the last years of his life on the run, always looking over his shoulder and never knowing when the cops might close in on him. This was a far cry from the luxurious lifestyle he was accustomed to, and it was a very lonely existence. But this wasn't the only reason he went into hiding. He had also made a lot of enemies during his time as a mobster. And when he finally decided to retire, those enemies came out of the woodwork and wanted revenge. Michael knew that he couldn't fight them all, so he went into hiding instead. Despite all the trouble he had been through, Michael was still a proud mobster. He never apologized for what he had done in the past, and he never regretted his life of crime. He was a true original gangster, and he died one in 1986. He suffered a heart attack at the age of 82. Some say it was a relief for him to finally be free of the worries that had plagued him for so long. Others say he had it coming after a lifetime of crime. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is for sure: Michael Francis was a true mobster who lived his life on the edge. And that's all for the day. We hope you enjoyed this video about the Mad Hatter. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.
Thanks for watching.